Oh, you're starting off hot, man. You
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Better Basics podcast, the only fitness podcast on the planet that is not going to tell you their opinion on the opening ceremonies at the Olympics.
I love that opener.
Thanks, man. Dylan, normally we open up the show with a hot topic, but today I wanted to start with something a little different. And you're totally in the dark on this. You wanted to know before the show started, but I thought it'd be better. I need your help and I need the listeners' help with something that I'm working on personally. So it's time for me to get a new phone. If we're being honest, the last time that I got a phone, I decided to go caseless life, and it didn't last very long. I dropped it a bunch of times, and now it's time for a new one. But you know, first off, I'm sick and tired of how cheap these phones are nowadays. How easy they break, even if they have screen protector, even if you get an OtterBox, like you still find a way to drop it perfectly. And the life of these phones are already way shorter than they should be, in my opinion. Secondly, I'm like everybody. I find myself spending more time on social media than I'd care to. And it really is something that I'm understanding is a time suck, not just a time suck, but also a mental suck. We talked about this last week. It's something that we come back to regularly on this show. It's how do we manage living in this digital world? And so one of the things that I'm seriously kicking around with this new phone is going back to the flip phone. And
Ooh,
I did a little research. It's actually in vogue right now. Flip phones are
there's a
back in vogue. Uh, and so, I thought about this and I like the idea. I like the idea in theory, but it comes with a lot of inconveniences in today's world. So, I just wanted to talk this out. I want to get your opinion on it. I'd love for the listeners to weigh in. But what are your thoughts? If I go, like, am I crazy for thinking that flip phone is even on the table for my next phone purchase?
I don't think you're crazy. Um, I'm quite intrigued by this thought as well. If the Motorola Razr still exists, I think it's a done deal. We don't even have to
Dude,
talk.
so I looked into the Razor. I didn't they have some like it, but now there's this like indestructible phone. Some Japanese company makes this like nearly indestructible, waterproof, scratch proof. It's a decent camera on it. I can't remember the brand, but it looks like it's built to work forever. And
So
so
here's my
like,
thought. Yeah,
okay,
here's my thought. So phones are obviously built to break because capitalism. If it worked forever, if it was indestructible, you'd never have to buy another one. It would be bad for business. Um, so interesting to know that they're claiming it's indestructible. Uh, the phone provides maybe 3 benefits, right? One is communication. So you have your text messaging and your phone calls, which you can achieve with a flip phone. The other is the camera. Like it's nice to have an easily
a high
accessible
quality
camera in your
camera.
pocket. I
Mhm.
think those are the 2 things I would have a difficult time separating with. The social media piece, I mean, you could keep your old iPhone. You could keep it in a place where that's where you're going to do your social media and you could use it exclusively for that, right? I mean, that's all internet based. It's easier
Yes.
to do through a phone app than a computer, but for me, it would ultimately come down to the camera. I think to some degree, like if
Yeah,
the
I
camera
get that.
is decent enough, especially if you're in the business of creating content, you're
Right.
training people, you want to be able to film that kind of stuff. Although out of your gym, you could also just have a camera, like a good quality
Yeah, and
camera.
well, and that's we're starting to do some research looking into how high quality content creators make their content anyways, and the majority of them are using high quality cameras anyways.
True.
So speaking of high quality cameras, I'm at home today, so you might see my cat in the background here. So it's yeah, just to be aware. But
And
uh,
you're right. You're right about the flip phone coming back. Like, I think
yeah,
our generation, the millennials, we were exposed to social media without really realizing what we were being exposed to. And so the consequences of that are starting to be realized. We've talked about the consequences before. I think the younger generations, as they've grown into social media, have been made aware of the risks and started to recognize them. And as a result, are a bit more cautious of, and there's always just like natural teenage rebellion too. And
right.
so I think
Whatever's
there's
in
this
vogue, they're
factor of
gonna
like,
go the opposite. Right,
right, their parents are using these high-tech phones. I
yep,
just want my flip phone, you know?
right.
So there's something interesting to all that. How much does this indestructible phone cost?
It's $200.
Okay.
So but if you think about, but the last phone that I got was an old iPhone. I was like an
Yeah.
iPhone 11 or something, and even that was still 350,
Right.
and that lasted me a little over a year. So if I have
Two
this
two
phone
thou
of
two 200 bucks is nothing.
right, well, compared to what new phones are costing nowadays,
I mean,
absolutely.
I
Now
would
I
say
get those
you could swallow that sunk cost too. Like, you could try it for a month,
right.
see
Well,
how
and
it
then you
goes,
even have the
and
money then to potentially, if the camera really is a big deal, you can get a decent
true,
camera for the difference easily.
true.
And so the one you brought up the one thing that is really like that is the first thing that I think of that's challenging for me is I love listening to music and podcasts in my car. And I
I
love
forgot about that piece.
my Apple
Yeah,
Play. I
that's
love it.
piece 4.
Just
Yep.
plugging that's what it's number one for me, more than social media, is
Yeah, I
like
agree.
it would be like calls and text messages, and then Spotify is like the most important thing. But I was thinking, so get if I keep and I have an old iPhone laying around. Like you said, now I have to be a little bit more intentional with downloading music, downloading podcasts, utilizing Wi-Fi. But what's wrong with that? With forcing
Yeah,
yourself to be a little bit more intentional. Then I was thinking, well, directions, road trips, like that kind of stuff could be tough.
yeah,
But Dylan, when you and I go on road trips, what's the thing that we love to do more than anything? Just
an
pick up an
atlas.
atlas
An atlas,
and
man, yeah.
figure it out. So
And I think you can download directions too.
download directions for sure. And yeah, and I think there's something to it. So I'm still I, I'm not fully committed, but this conversation went well. And so, if there are any listeners that maybe have made this switch, have cut the smartphone proverbial cord and would like to fill me in, or somebody that is also considering it, I'd love to hear from them. But that, it's just rattling around my brain, and I'm getting more and more obsessed with it.
Why don't you go why don't you hold off on the $200 indestructible flip phone and just go buy a cheap $20 flip phone
See if it
and
works.
and
See if it lasts.
try it out for a little bit, see how it
Not a
plays,
bad idea. I
and
like that.
report back to us.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's solid. I can do that. All right. Thank you for helping me with that. Now we're going to transition to what I'm just going to go ahead and say has turned into my favorite thing that we do on this show, that you so lovingly named "What Say You." So when we were figuring out a topic for this week, I hit you with a, "Hey, what say you? We play a little what say you." Because there are a few things that I wanted to get your opinion on. So if you are new to the show, new to this segment, what's going to happen is Dylan and we each have a list of items that we want to get the other person's opinion on. And so we are just going to, and these lists have not been shared with each other before the show. So we have no idea where the other person's coming from. And we're just going to get some real good opportunity to get some takes off. So Dylan, do you want to go first, or do you want to do you want to make me go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll make you go first. I'm gonna
Right,
ask the
right.
first question.
Okay, cool.
Um, and I should say, off the top here, I'm fighting that one hell of a head cold, so apologies. It's also making my left eye twitch a lot, so anybody on video may see this left eye going nuts. But I'll do my best not to cough and blow my nose too much.
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Matt,
Yeah.
what say you about burpees?
Oh, you're starting off hot, man. I fucking hate burpees. I think they're the dumbest exercise that's ever been invented. And any trainer that makes you do burpees is lazy as fuck and just wants you to feel miserable. There are 100 different exercises that you could do that are going to be as effective and not as miserable as burpees. The only time that burpees have a practical application as if you are trying to program a workout from hell. And if that's your goal, if you just want to create a shitty workout that feels awful, then put as many burpees in there as you want. But if we are trying to train efficiently, if we are trying to train with any sort of consideration of what is effective and going to be useful for people, burpees just don't make the cut. So anytime that you see burpees in a training program, that trainer is an asshole, in my opinion.
Preach, man. Yeah. Burpees are punishment. Like that's what they should be
Yes,
used for. Like up downs. Like your football coach is going to make you do up downs,
exactly.
right? And they're not doing that to get you into better shape. They're doing that to punish you.
Right.
They're for one, they're not going to build any muscle. It's not a muscle building exercise. And so if you're doing them for cardio, why punish yourself? There's a million better ways you can achieve cardiovascular fitness than doing burpees. So I'm with you
Yeah.
100%. They're stupid as
So,
hell.
like, I think something like if you are looking for the strength equivalent, something like a dumbbell thruster is, or you can do a barbell, whatever, but like kettlebell, whatever, a thruster where you're still hitting that squat and press. You can do, and I like all the components of the burpee. I like push-ups. I like squat jumps. I like all of it. But when you are forcing people to string them together as fast as they possibly can, I mean, just go ahead and look at the way that CrossFitters do burpees. They are doing them in a manner that just lets them do 1,000, and that just go like that's just it. It's not a strength building move. It's just like you said, it's punishment, and I hate them. All right, Dylan.
Maybe I want to say one more thing on the point because
Yeah.
you just raised an interesting uh, strength training concept that maybe is worth just hitting on quick, which is a burpee is essentially stringing multiple exercises together.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, I think anytime, well, first I should say training explosively is good, right? And that's sort of what a burpee's after. But anytime you're stringing together probably more than two exercises into one fluid movement, it's not worth it, right? Like you'll see people who will do like a kettlebell complex where it's like squat into a shoulder press into a bent over row. Do the
RDL, yeah,
squat,
whatever.
yeah, do the shoulder press, do the bent over row independently. If you want to add an explosive kind of component to that, to your point, that's great. It's a good way to train. It trains fast twitch muscle fibers, which are often neglected with strength training. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, fuck burpees.
Nice. All right, Dylan. What say you about the push pull leg split?
Ooh, that's a great one. Um, so push pull leg split means that you're gonna divide your workout over the course of a week into 3 days, maybe more days, but you're gonna
Yeah, normally
specifically
3 or 6.
focus on, yeah, right. So one day is very specifically focused on push movements. One is going to be more focused on pull related movements. And then what did you say? Push pull legs?
Push pull legs. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one day is going to be really hyper focused on legs. I think for the majority of people, it's not the best way to train. I think training full body, um, 2 to 4 days a week is much more advantageous. And there's a few reasons for that. One, we know from studies that frequency matters. So hitting your chest, so push is going to have some chest related movements. If you're only doing that once a week, um, you're not giving it quite as much frequency as may be required to build optimal muscle. So if you're doing full body, you may only have one chest focused movement each day, but you're going to hit it over the course of 3 days instead of three movements on one day in a push day. Um, the other reason is people like live lives that often make it challenging to be perfect with their workouts. So I got a cold right now, right? Like I'm gonna miss a couple workouts this week because I don't want to put that stress on my body. But I trained full body before I went into this cold. And if you're doing a push pull legs and you have to take a couple days off in a given week, let's say you hit your push workout on Monday, but you're going to miss your Wednesday and Friday. Well, now you've trained no pull and no legs for that whole week plus. So it gives you some flexibility, right? We also know from studies that to maintain muscle takes very little. So if you're going to have a bad week, you're busy, you're sick, whatever it is, you're better off hitting that full body once a week than just hitting a push or just hitting a pull or just hitting legs and then neglecting everything else. So for those two reasons, I think full body is much more advantageous. As you get a bit more advanced and you are really, really consistent, it's novel, right? It's a different way it's a new adaptation for your body. It's worth trying and programming in for a season. But for me, for the majority of people, I think full body is a better way to train.
Yeah, I was doing some social media scrolling before this podcast to try and get some inspiration for things to talk to you about. And I came across this section of social media that was just ragging on full body workouts, basically saying like if you train full body, then you probably only go to the gym 2 days a week, and you're not really like there for the gains, da 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 da. And I realized that the people that we're talking are the people that live in the gym. The people that
Right.
log on a full body split are the guys that have nothing better to do than train 4, 5, 6 days a week. If you are somebody that struggles with consistency, if you're somebody with a life, and if you're somebody that wants to make the most of your minutes in the gym that you get every week count, then I think something like a push pull legs is going to lead to imbalance, because exactly like you said, what happens when you miss a day, or what happens if you don't really like training legs that much, and so then you find
Right.
used to not go to the gym on that day. And then when you come back
Yep.
round, you're like, oh, push day again, love push day. And so then you are giving yourself an opportunity for imbalance. So if you're an advanced lifter and going to the gym is something that you genuinely love doing, and have no problem going 4, 5, 6 days a week, then sure, try push pull legs. But otherwise, I think you absolutely nailed it.
All right, Matt. What say you about and I'm gonna give an interlude to this one. We've talked a lot about the importance of protein, hitting a protein goal, having a protein goal, and how supplementing with something like a protein shake can be a helpful way to get to that target in a given day. But I want to know what say you about protein bars?
Oh, um, well, I think that there are some protein bars that are delicious. And like I like a protein bar on like a road trip. I like a protein bar as a little bit of a snack. I think if you're eating a protein bar every single day, then you probably should be looking to other sources of whole foods to be getting that 20 grams of protein or whatever it is. I think that protein bars naturally are going to have a lot of different ingredients. It's really hard to find a super clean protein bar. Our carnivores out there would make the argument that the best protein bar would be like some beef jerky. Some just sort of like lean meat. Uh, and I would rather try and get my protein from a source like that. I think there's just a bunch of other benefits that come along with that. But I think it's a good treat sometimes. There are some really like delicious tasting ones. I like to get a box of the Kirkland, like the Costco sampler
Hmm.
box of protein
Yep.
bars. But there's something that when I get them, I'm treating them like they're like a little treat for me. They are definitely not a staple of my diet, and I really wouldn't recommend them being a staple in anybody else's.
Yeah, I'm with you on all accounts. I think for me, it's a convenience thing. Like, it's
Mhm.
easier to grab a protein bar and take it to the golf course than
Yeah.
to pack a protein shake.
Well,
So,
and that's a better
if I'm
choice
gonna
than a
go
candy bar. You know, like, if
totally
the choice is between a Snickers bar and a protein bar, then yeah, and that's where I think the protein bar has a ton of value. But if that is, if you're skipping lunch for,
right.
because of your protein bar, I just that's not for me. But go ahead. Yeah, what you're saying is dead on.
Yeah, so not an everyday thing, but when you need that convenient snack option, um, good. I think a lot of them are really high in sugar too. If they're not high in sugar, they're typically high in sugar substitutes or sugar alcohols, which can be a little tough on the gut.
Mhm.
Um, I've found some really good ones I like the Costco ones. Trader Joe's has some awesome protein bars, and Legion has a protein cookie that is delicious.
Yum.
But yeah, not something I'm eating every day, but absolutely something that has a place in my diet when I need a convenient snack or no, I'm not going to be able to hit a protein target because I'm traveling or playing golf or something.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Dylan. What say you about coffee as a pre-workout?
Oh, the best pre-workout in the world.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought you'd say that.
yeah, I mean, you literally don't need anything else. A little bit of caffeine. It could be coffee. It could be caffeine pill. Um, Maybe a little bit of quick digestible sugar, like some honey, and a little bit of salt. That is the best pre-workout in existence. You can save your $50 a month on buying some crazy formula that has something in it that makes your skin feel like it tingles, so you feel like it's doing something more than than just your simple cup of coffee. Um, Studies show caffeine fantastic for increasing performance, and I would pair it up with some honey, maybe a little bit of salt, because the salt will help draw water to your muscle bellies, help you get that pump, and the sugar will give you that uh, quick digestible source of glucose energy that you need to have a good workout. So I love coffee. I love my morning cup of coffee, and then I love having the excuse to say I can have another one if I'm going to have a workout, because it is a great way to get some quick energy.
For sure. Now, so that people really can understand your level of coffee fandom here, tell us what kind of beans you're working with at the house right now.
Yeah. So right now I have a Brazilian roast.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and it's from a local coffee shop called Venture. They do a really good job. I typically like the higher elevation coffees.
Okay.
So the higher elevation coffees are typically roasted a bit lighter and will have a sweeter profile. The Ethiopian coffees, for example, damn near taste like a cup of juice if you get the right one. So yeah, I'm working on a Brazilian. It's got notes of like pecan. Um, Very, very, very nice, very balanced, very smooth cup of coffee.
And your light roast, the dark roast is trash and nobody should drink it,
Yes,
right?
yeah, yes, absolutely, 100% true. Um, if you like dark roast, you're kidding yourself. You've never had a good cup of light roast coffee.
There it is. All right. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
All right, Matt. What say you about um, the 30-30-30 diet method, made famous by, and it could also be what say you about Dr. air quotes Dr. Gary Brecka, apparently made this famous, and it's a ketogenic type diet where you eat 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up and then do 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. And apparently this is the secret to losing weight and maintaining weight loss. So what say you about it?
um All right. So I've heard of Gary Brecka before, and it doesn't surprise me that this that this would come from his camp. Um, I hate it. Will you tell me? So what it's 30-30-30. So it's 30 grams of protein, 30
Within 30 minutes of
minutes
waking up, followed by
within 30
30
minutes
minutes
of
of
waking up.
cardiovascular exercise.
And the whole thought is that you are like the first thing that you're putting into your body is a shitload of protein, and then you're moving your body to get your metabolism going so that you are just a fat burning machine for the entire day.
I guess.
It's one of those things where I'm sure that you could cite a bunch of like studies that, and then you could like spin them a certain way to like make dumb people think that this is the best thing that's ever happened. This is a hack that's going to save your life. I can't imagine that there are any real studies done that show that this type of dieting and exercise is going to have any sort of real benefit. It sounds freaking miserable. It sounds like you're just going to boot camp every single day. Like your alarm goes off and then immediately you're just pounding 6 eggs and then have to do a bunch of like running or hopping on the row machine. I think that anybody that claims that they have the one thing that is going to change your life is a liar. And I think that Gary Brecka is a perfect example of these people that are just trying to freak you out on social media and make you buy whatever dumbass stuff they're selling. So I don't think I've ever heard of this before, but I hate it and I would never recommend anybody try it.
Yeah, be very wary of Gary Brecka. He has gained so much popularity. I think it's Dana White that worked with him and
Hmm.
claimed he had the magic cure to his health problems, and he absolutely operates through fear. And a lot of what he's saying is just making grandiose stretches on limited science to package it into something that's marketable. And that's exactly what this is. This is not the silver bullet solution to weight loss. I will say, like, habit stacking is good. We know that. And getting a good amount of protein early in the day is a good idea. Moving your body early in the day is a good idea. So, if this is something that works for you, great. Is it a perfect solution to losing and maintaining weight loss? Absolutely not. Focus on the big rocks that are component parts of this, right? Like we've talked about it before. Get, 30 to 40% of your daily protein goal early in the morning. Move early in the morning. Shoot for, 30-ish minutes of cardiovascular exercise a day. It could be very low intensity. It could be a walk, right? But yeah, I mean, this is just another easily packaged, easy to market thing that's gained another mouth on social media, a bunch of popularity. I mean, this is the same guy that's promoting that, blending up your fruit and drinking it in a smoothie versus just eating it whole
Yeah.
increases your blood sugar spike by like 400% or something. And it's just like that's just not true. Like, what the fucking world are you talking about?
Right.
um so yeah, beware of this guy. uh Beware of any method that suggests to be the silver bullet to weight loss. Weight loss is simply about getting into and maintaining a calorie deficit. If this way works for you, great. But if not, there are a myriad of other ways to go about doing it.
Yeah, don't stress out if within the first 30 minutes of being awake, you don't want to shovel a bunch of food down your gullet. Like
Hmm.
that is okay. You are not destined to be fat if that if that's not your prerogative. So yeah, I don't I think that one can be put right in the trash. All right, Dylan, what say you about farmers carries as a core workout?
So good. Um, Farmers carries are fantastic core workouts. It's a way to kind of isometrically train the core.
Mhm.
Um, so heavy carries, any kind of a heavy carry, like I almost prefer a suitcase carry to a farmer's carry. Farmer's carry meaning you're carrying something in both hands, which is great. The advantage of a suitcase carry is you're only going to carry something in one hand, so you have that counter effect of the opposite side core that's required to stabilize. Um, Carries are so underrated just in general. I mean, they're really good for isometrically training your biceps and your arms. Um, They're really accessible and easy to do. If you have some weight at home, you can go out in the street or the driveway and just walk back and forth. And um, they really are kind of a compound movement for training your core and really your whole body. So I'm a huge fan of carries, farmers carries, suitcase carries, whatever.
Yeah, and don't be surprised if you find that the unilateral suitcase carry is actually feels more challenging than something like a bilateral farmer's carry because like
Yeah.
exactly like you said, forcing that opposite side oblique to really stay engaged is a real challenge for a lot of people. So, and I think that this is one of those things that you can either and I think that there's value in using it at the beginning of a workout or at the end of a workout. At the beginning of a workout, it can be a really good way to just prime that core. So if you're going to do something that requires a lot of core brace, so barbell back squat or a
Hmm.
deadlift, really like any heavy lower body movement, doing some farmer's carries and not to exhaustion, but really just, doing some farmer's carries on the lighter side to really promote that core brace and start to get into some of those deeper core muscles. It can be used really well as a warm up there. Or if you're just trying to, trash the core and get everything out of it, it's really well done after bicep curls because then you get a little twofer there. That
Yep.
bicep extension at the end can be a really good way to get a little bit extra on your bicep pump, but then also can be a great way to exhaust that core. So yeah, I'm with you. I love them.
And they're super functional, right?
Hmm.
Like you want to talk about a way that your core will need to be used in day-to-day life. It's just a fantastic way to train it. I was actually doing a fair amount of carry work leading up to Thanksgiving of last year. And we went out and hiked about a mile into a Christmas tree farm and cut down our Christmas tree with our family and then had to carry the tree out, a mile. And I had that puppy gripped on one side, walked out with that thing, and I was waiting like 45 minutes for the rest of my family to get out with their Christmas trees because I had just gotten so good at kind of carrying weight in that way. So whether it's a Christmas tree, whether it's just the groceries, whatever it is, being able to lift something heavy and carry it with functional movement pattern is super beneficial.
Yeah, and Peter Attia loves these for longevity as well. It's one of the exercises that he absolutely swears by. So it's not just something that is a great core workout, but when we also think about some of those movements, like you said, functionally great, but then also going to, help us just, be bigger, stronger, more fit as we start to age. This should be a pillar of most people's workouts.
Hell yeah. All right. Last one.
You just one more from you, or do I get one more?
No, you get one too. I think we did 8
Oh
total
yeah, yeah,
last time.
perfect.
So
I've got one. I've got
we'll
one more that I want to do as
we'll
well.
keep uh we'll keep addition 2 consistent with addition 1.
All right,
So
cool.
my next one is was once very popular, maybe less popular now, but I think a lot of homes still have these in them. And I want to know, what say you about the
Oh
Peloton bikes?
well, so a heck of a lot better than the Peloton treadmills. Keep your babies away from the Peloton treadmills. But Peloton bikes, I love them. Now, are they worth the cost? That's for you to decide. I love the idea that you can have a piece of equipment in your basement, in your home gym, wherever, that 365 days out of the year, you can get a hell of a workout and it can be steady state cardio. It can be high intensity. It can match, it can be 10 minutes. It can be 20 minutes. It can be an hour and a half. You can find something for whatever type of workout you have time for or whatever type of workout you need. Now, it's not going to be so much like a strength builder, muscle builder, even though now there are some like strength classes that they have on there, but they're utilizing a lot like really light weights. They're utilizing a lot of body weight movements and it's super high reps for the most part. But, I think that any tool that you can have in your house that can motivate you to use it and something that can be a little bit fun and novel is a great thing. But I also understand that Pelotons are expensive as hell. I don't have one in my house, and realistically, it's not something that we're going to be adding to our home gym anytime soon. And because you've got to pay that monthly fee, whatever it is, to access all the classes, it's one of those things that I understand that it's not for everybody. But if it's within your means and you like that type of workout, I'm all for it. But I totally understand that it's not accessible. Realistically, it's probably not accessible for most people.
Yeah, we've said it a million times and we'll say it a million more times. The best workout you can do is the one that you will do and keep doing. And I think the key factor that plays into that is, for most people, convenience. And so having a piece of cardio equipment in your home that does a really good job of keeping the user engaged through the classes and the community aspect of it, I think is fantastic. Um, I'm a home gym guy now almost exclusively because of the convenience. I got a kid. It's just harder to get to the gym. I would say if you do have the means and you do have one of these, I would be intentional about trying to figure out how I can supplement some of that work with some strength training, whether that's just getting some adjustable dumbbells, working with a trainer to figure out how you can get 1 to 2 days of strength training in to complement that cardio work that you're doing would be optimal. But if the Peloton's what you love, you can afford it, you have one. Pelotons are fantastic. I mean, it's a really neat piece of equipment. I don't have one either. Peloton Light would be to get one of those indoor bike trainers where you
Hmm.
could just take your bike from inside, have it work inside. You won't have the person cheering you on your screen, but
But I bet you could
um,
find
you
one
know,
on YouTube.
probably, yeah, good point.
Yeah,
So yeah, biking's great. I mean, my choice of cardio is typically walking. Complement that with strength training, but biking is really good. It's lower intensity on the joints versus like running. So yeah, I'm a fan.
sweet. No, I love it. The last time, yeah, pretty much every time that I have a chance to hop on a Peloton, I do, and I opt for more of those like 20-minute, high intensity rides, and
Yep.
I'm dripping sweat. It makes me feel amazing. I absolutely love it. But yeah, the cost is one of those things that's just going to be prohibitive for a lot of people. So if you can do it,
Yep.
go for it. All right. So this segues really well into the last one that I have, and I already know your opinion on this general concept. So let me try and phrase this a little bit more to get what I'm looking for here. So, what say you to someone that is trying to work out at home more? So, and it's me. I'm the guy. So I'm at this point in my life and in my personal training where I'm spending a lot of freaking time in the gym. It's a lot of work time in the gym. And so I've been having a tough time, sticking around and, giving it my all for my workouts. And so, I invested in some adjustable dumbbells. I've got some kettlebells and I've got a decent amount of equipment at home. But I guess like I am struggling a little bit with, kind of like figuring out the best way to do it. I seem like I can always find an excuse when I'm at home. I feel like I don't have the same level of focus. And so as someone who does work out at home, like you said, pretty much exclusively now, how do you do it? What say you to someone that is trying to make that an aspect of their training?
I'll answer the question generally, and then I'll answer the question for you with what I know about you.
Okay.
How does that work?
I love it.
Okay, so I think if I was asked the question generally, the first thing I would tell that person is find a good trainer. Tell them what your lifestyle's like and what you want to achieve out of working out at home, and have them write you a good program to do that. The next thing I would do is, and this is probably what the trainer would tell them too, is invest in some quality adjustable dumbbells. They're inexpensive, um, and you can do a million different things with them in a very limited space. It could be your bedroom, your garage, your basement, your kitchen. For the love of God, I mean, you can use those things pretty much anywhere. The combination of those two things, I think, will set you up for success with regards to how you can work out at home. For you, I think it's a function of how ingrained fitness already is in your life. And it's like a pro golfer who does it for a living, and then do they really want to go out and play golf for fun? In addition to the golf they have to play for a living, I think a lot of times they tell you no. So I- you have the equipment at home. I would do one of two things. One, I would try to find, you live on a really cool property. I'd
Mhm.
try to figure out how to do more stuff outside, especially while the weather still allows for it.
Yeah.
Um, because you don't have that advantage in a gym. So whether that's clearing out some space in the garage or finding, somewhere outside where you can, and think about training in some novel ways that outside provides.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing that I like about having gym equipment at home is I can kind of break up my workouts throughout the course of the day. So it makes it more digestible. Like I'll wake up and some days I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to get some squats in before work, and I'll do a set of squats. But I know I still want to hit some push and pull that day too, because I'm trying to focus on full body. So, a little later in the day, I need a little pick me up. It's great because you get that little rush of endorphins. Like if I have an important work call, sometimes I'll just go downstairs and hit a set of bench press and feel, more mentally prepared to take that phone call. So, you break up your full workout into 3 component parts throughout the course of a day. That can be a really good way to do it as well.
Oh,
Um,
dude,
and buy some cool shit, like, get a landmine attachment.
yeah,
Like, landmine training is, and you can do that outside. You just
right.
need a barbell, some plates, and a landmine attachment. There's some really cool stuff you can do with that. What else have I bought recent slam balls,
Yeah.
boxes for jumping,
Oh,
that kinda
yeah.
stuff.
That's actually, I think that is probably the next on the home gym list is something for plyometrics. I
Yeah.
really, because you're right, and those are the best ones to do outside. Do
Yep.
some explosive moves out there. I like that. And then it's, working outside, you get to utilize carries become way easier to do. I
Yep.
like it, man. I like it. I'm gonna to take some of your advice there. That's sweet. All right. Is that a wrap on edition 2 of What Say You?
That's a wrap.
I think we did great. That was fun. I had a ton of fun with that. Uh,
Super fun.
all
We
right.
gotta do it more often.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we do it a good. I think that was a good interval. I think it was enough space.
Alright.
I was certainly craving it. So, all right, let's transition to the question of the day. And this question comes from one of our female training clients. And she wants, in her words, a juicy booty. She wants the butt gains, and is trying to figure out the best way to get them. So I have already crafted a some tweaks to our in person gym program, but I want to hear your opinion. What else she might be able to do, and then we can also go over some of the exercises that we are going to focus on in order for her to help build that better looking, bigger, stronger butt.
Cool. Fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I have never had to ask myself this question because my genetics have afforded me
Yeah,
a
you've got
juicy
it.
booty.
You've got it.
I got a donk. But I have some definite thoughts. The first place I'd go is thinking about what got you to where you are right now. So, what type of training have you done in the past to build that butt? And I would figure out what I can do that's novel. So, like if you've done a lot of high rep squatting, body weight stuff, I would look to like the 3 to 5 rep range, go really heavy, um, and think about movements that are focused on glute development in doing that. Um, I would focus a ton on mind muscle connection, especially if you get into more of like the 8 to 12 to 15 rep range. When you're doing a squat, for example, really focus on squeezing the butt at the top of the rep. And then the 3 exercises that I would be programming in are barbell back squats for sure, or some variation of the squat where you can really, again, focus on that squeeze of the glute at the top of the rep. I would be programming in some sort of a split squat, probably a Bulgarian split squat, where you
Mhm.
keep that front foot a little bit closer So the further that foot gets away, the more it's going to target the quad. But if you get that foot a little bit closer, it'll help you to target that glute a bit better. That's a great glute developer. And then I think the best of the best is going to be like a barbell thrust, hip thrust.
Mhm.
Um, because with that you can really, I mean, I hadn't done them really at all in my life until sometime in the last 6 months, and holy moly, man, that gets the butt burning. So, um, those are probably the 3 exercises I'd focus on. But yeah, I'd think about novelty. I'd think about getting programmed. She's working with you, so, maybe like 3 phases of how we do this. We focus on strength, we focus more on hypertrophy, um, and those are the 3 exercises I'd target. But I'm curious to know, like, what you've got in store for her. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So phase one is we're getting into barbell back squat for sure. And so usually with her, we're training 2 days a week in person. She does go to the gym on her own third day more often than not. But just to focus on what we're doing when we're together in the gym. So first is like you said, barbell back squat, and for the first 3 to 4 weeks, we're keeping it in that like 6 to 10 rep range. Getting and working more to that six as the weeks go on. So trying to get heavier and heavier. So that is building up that strength. But the thing that I really like to do is pair that with a single leg RDL. I think that single leg RDL, and this is important, use the some support, use the rack for support, because a single leg RDL, a lot of times it tends to be more of a core and balance exercise because we try
Yeah.
to not use any support. But I'm really liking having her use the rack for some support. And then if you want to hit a little more of that upper butt, add a little twist to the bottom.
Mm,
Reach the
mm.
dumbbell or kettlebell, whatever weight you're using, towards that opposite ankle to really lengthen that glute med, that upper glute. So I'm loving that. And then on the other day, it is rear foot elevated. Yeah, Bulgarian split squats for sure with dumbbells, 2 dumbbells, one on either side. And then we're doing a hip thrust, just like you said, barbell hip
Yep.
thrust. I find that for most people, and this is, men or women, um, it's really hard and uncomfortable to do a super heavy hip
Yeah.
thrust unless you have a machine, which I've never used, but I see them online all the time and they look cool as hell. But
Yeah.
if you're just using a barbell and you've got a pad, across the middle, and you're, using a bench to support the shoulders, it can get really tough to try and get reps below 10. So usually with something like that, I'm focusing on 10 to 15, but like you said, I'm focusing on the squeeze at the top. We're going to, we add a little pause at the top once
Yeah.
once we've kind of maxed out, we're at a good weight, we start to add some tempo. And but really just making it that, focusing in those 4 different planes. So it's squat move, single leg hinge, it's split squat, and then some sort of like hip thrust or hinge move. You could also do, if you don't like hip thrusts, something like a barbell RDL would be a
Uh-huh.
fine substitute there too. But if you're checking in on all 4 of those, that's great. But here I think is one of the most important aspects is she's got to be eating. And
You bet.
this is something that, especially for women, can be really challenging because they think, they want to lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, but oh, I also want to build a butt. It is really challenging and to lose weight and build muscle at the same time. It's not impossible, but it's really tough. And so, you got to think, take a phase, take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks to focus on building up your butt. And with that is going to come some increased calories. So steer into that, enjoy eating a little bit more. And then once you've got that juicy bit you've been searching for, then you can get back to the calorie deficit and work on losing some weight if that is in fact your goal. But I think that nutrition part is such an important aspect because it gets overlooked so often.
Man, that's huge. Yeah, really good point. I love your point on RDLs. I left that out, but I think from an aesthetic muscle development point of view, the hamstrings get neglected.
Yeah,
Like a good strong hamstring will contribute to a better looking butt.
right.
So RDLs is fantastic. And then I love your point on pause at the top of the hip thrust work because like you noted, getting super heavy with it can be tough, but making lighter weight feel heavy will really get you connected to that muscle, and pausing at the top will give you a really good chance to feel that squeeze in the glute. For the average person that's not working with a trainer with a hip thrust, it's really important that you're in a good position. There's videos on YouTube on how to do this, but you want to make sure that shin angle is vertical. If you get that foot too far out and forward, you're going to feel it a lot more in your legs and your quads than in your glute. And you'll know if you're in that good kind of vertical shin position because as you get to the top, you'll feel it in that ass real good. So,
Yeah, for sure.
so yeah, if you want to feel it in that ass real good, make sure you got that shin vertical.
Exactly. All right, that was
uh,
perfect. Couldn't have answered that any better. All right, let's get out of here with the greatest segment in podcast history. It is the I Lift a sad song of the week, presented to you by thebasictrainer.com. Dylan, it is my sad song this week. And I'm gonna go with a classic. I'm gonna go with a band that you and I have seen in concert together. You may remember I set your hair on fire at this concert, Summerfest, either junior or senior year of high school. That is, of course, Dashboard Confessional, and the song is Vindicated. Uh,
oh man, hell yeah,
Great song, really nice. If you want to get in your feels while you're lifting some heavy weight, I highly recommend it. So pair some Vindicated with some split squats and let the tears flow.
hell yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.